Most men have a completely wrong idea about sexual tension. They think it's enough to hold a steady gaze, drop a suggestive comment, or even flash a simple smile. Sure, those things can help, but creating real sexual tension? That's a whole different level. Something deeper, more subtle, and far more powerful. Neil Strauss, one of the top experts in seduction, made this crystal clear. Sexual tension doesn't come from what's obvious. The real magic happens in the details most people don't notice and few truly understand. If you've ever felt like no matter how hard you try to flirt or attract her, you just can't spark that fire, stay right here. You're about to discover how Neil Strauss masters this art with precise techniques that, when used right, can transform your love life completely. First, you need to get this. Sexual tension isn't explicit, it's implicit. Your goal is never to blatantly show your sexual interest. Instead, you're creating an invisible game that awakens curiosity, excitement, and that rush of forbidden adrenaline in her. Think of sexual tension like a rope slowly tightening. If you pull too fast or too hard, it snaps. But if you learn to keep steady pressure, gradually increasing the intensity, you'll achieve fascinating results. To start, Neil Strauss suggests mastering distance and eye contact. Physical distance is one of your strongest tools to build tension. When you're with a woman you're interested in, your first move should be to subtly play with that space between you. At first, stay close enough so she feels your presence and your intention, but far enough to respect her personal bubble. Then little by little start closing that gap, reducing the distance slowly. This simple, almost unnoticed move sends powerful signals straight to her subconscious. Strauss explains that our brains instinctively react to changes in proximity. The closer you get, the stronger the energy between you becomes. But be careful, move too fast, and the magic vanishes. You've got to do this with the smooth control of someone who knows exactly what they're doing. While you adjust that physical space, your eye contact needs to play its part in perfect sync. The way you look at her holds incredible power to create intimacy, complicity, and most importantly, sexual tension. Here's the key. When you look at the woman you're attracted to, never pull away your gaze too quickly. Hold eye contact a few seconds longer than what feels normal. Long enough for her to feel your interest, but not so long that it makes her uncomfortable. Neil Strauss emphasizes something critical. Never look at her with uncertainty or hesitation. Your confidence in your eyes must be unshakable. That doesn't just project self-assurance, it triggers an unconscious challenge in her. She'll wonder, what is it about you that makes you stare so intensely, so confidently, so irresistibly? Now, sexual tension also depends heavily on the conversation. And here's where a lot of guys mess up. They believe the talk has to jump fast into explicit sexual topics or obvious compliments. But Strauss flips that idea on its head. The conversation that builds real sexual tension is always on the edge of crossing a line, but never fully crosses it. You have to master ambiguous, double-meaning dialogue. Strauss recommends using subtle hints, small, seemingly innocent comments that actually carry a deeper meaning. For example, instead of directly telling her she's attractive, give her an indirect compliment that can be interpreted in different ways. Try something like, "You know what? I think there's a dangerous side hiding behind that smile." That simple line will ignite her imagination instantly, and the tension will skyrocket because she'll start wondering what exactly you mean and how she should respond to it. Neil also teaches us to use the emotional contrast technique, meaning you alternate moments of emotional closeness with moments where you pull back slightly, act a bit distant, or even challenge her. This kind of contrast creates a powerful psychological effect known as an emotional roller coaster, and that's exactly what awakens the deepest kind of sexual attention. Picture this. You're having a comfortable conversation, laughing, connecting emotionally. Then suddenly, without warning, you shift your vibe, become a bit more serious, more challenging, maybe even physically step back for a few minutes. That emotional swing sparks intense curiosity. She starts wondering, what's going on with you? When you return to that emotional closeness, her mind gets hooked in this mental game that skyrockets her interest in you. Something Neil Strauss stresses heavily is knowing how to use the power of silence. Yes, silence. Most guys fear awkward silences and rush to fill them with nervous words or endless questions. But Strauss says that silence, when controlled and used strategically, can radically boost sexual tension between two people. Imagine you're talking with an attractive woman. Instead of rushing to fill every quiet moment, stay calm and comfortable when silence falls. Look her in the eyes, give a slight smile, and let the silence flow naturally. This simple move creates mystery, confidence, and security. Qualities that are incredibly attractive and seductive, yet few really master. Always remember that sexual attention feeds on uncertainty. Never lay all your cards on the table. Leave room for doubt, a little question mark in her mind. When she's not 100% sure what your intentions are, she automatically feels more drawn, more curious, and ultimately, more excited about you. Neil Strauss also explains that body language is a key piece that ties all these techniques together. Your body constantly communicates your level of confidence, desire, and emotional control. You need to adopt a relaxed but dominant posture, always showing security and comfort with yourself and your surroundings. Avoid nervous movements, tics, or signs of insecurity. Every move you make has to radiate control and mastery over yourself and the situation you're in. Before we keep going, let me invite you to something special. If everything you're hearing resonates with you, you can't miss my book, The Power to Attract. It's a deep, transformative guide to becoming the best version of yourself. There, I reveal how to awaken the natural magnetism you already carry, how to read attraction signals, master the art of conversation, and connect authentically with others. Thanks for being here. Now, let's continue. Neil teaches that sexual attention isn't a one-way power game. It's an exchange of energy and mutual sensations. You have to learn to read her signals carefully. Watch how she reacts to your moves, your gaze, your silences. If she responds positively, keep gently intensifying the game. But if you sense discomfort, pause, adjust your pace, change tactics, and come back later when she's more receptive. Mastering sexual tension isn't easy or instant, but by applying these strategies and principles Neil Strauss has developed, I guarantee you'll start seeing immediate and surprising changes in your relationships and your attraction power. If, until now, attraction felt like an unsolvable mystery, you're about to discover how to use that mystery in your favor, how to turn every interaction into an exciting psychological game filled with desire and deep connection. Remember, this is just the beginning, and Neil Strauss has much more to teach, but all in due time. One of the most powerful tools Neil reveals for mastering sexual tension is the ability to create anticipation. Anticipation is planting the expectation of something that hasn't happened yet in her mind. It's a fascinating psychological game that keeps her attention completely locked on you. Think of attention like a movie where both of you know something's going to happen, but no one knows exactly when or how. That expectation creates an irresistible desire. To do this effectively, Neil suggests learning how to hint at future events without clearly defining when or exactly what they will be. For example, during a casual conversation, you might calmly say, "You know, I think soon I'm going to show you something that's going to surprise you a lot." Instantly, you activate her imagination, sparking curiosity and immediate interest. She'll start thinking about you even when you're not around, constantly wondering, "What's that thing you promised?" This builds growing tension that keeps her emotionally connected to you. Another powerful method Neil calls the strategic management of physical touch. Touching is an incredibly effective way to build intimacy and trust, but the key is to do it with total naturalness and subtlety. Many men make the mistake of touching too much or too soon. Here, understanding the difference is crucial. What Neil teaches is to touch subtly at specific moments, creating small instances loaded with meaning. For example, when you're talking to her, lightly touch her arm or shoulder to emphasize a point you're making. Those small brushes, seemingly casual, send powerful signals of attraction while you keep a completely relaxed attitude, as if it's the most natural thing in the world, without any hidden agenda. This creates positive doubt in her mind, making her wonder if the contact is casual or if there's something deeper behind it. That space of uncertainty significantly raises the sexual tension. Neil also emphasizes the crucial importance of congruence. Everything you say, how you say it, your tone of voice, your gestures, and your body language must be perfectly aligned. This congruence projects an irresistible authenticity that instantly boosts your attractiveness. Women are extremely sensitive to emotional inconsistencies, so any sign of doubt or insecurity can immediately destroy the tension you've built. A confident man is congruent at all times. Neil insists on maintaining a relaxed but firm, natural yet controlled attitude. You don't need to force anything. Instead, focus on letting every action flow calmly, without rush. When a woman senses that authenticity and deep calm in you, she automatically feels more drawn and captivated, greatly intensifying the sexual attention. Now, Neil Strauss dives into a deep psychological element that few men truly master: the ability to project emotional detachment without losing interest. This means that even if you feel strong attraction, you must learn to stay emotionally independent. If she senses you're too dependent on her reactions, you'll lose her attention immediately. However, if you manage to show genuine interest while maintaining total emotional independence, you'll spark a much stronger attraction. Neil calls this the art of selective interest. During your conversations, show authentic interest in specific things she says or does, but at the same time, appear indifferent or detached about other aspects. This dynamic creates a powerful psychological tension because she will unconsciously seek your validation in the areas where you show less interest. And here's something fascinating. The more selective you are with your attention, the more valuable it becomes to her. Another fundamental aspect Neil masters brilliantly is the use of humor to amplify sexual attention. But be careful. This isn't about just being funny or a clown. It's about using smart, bold, and slightly provocative humor. Witty remarks that gently challenge her beliefs or expectations can create a playful dynamic charged with sexual tension. For example, if she says she'd never do anything daring or adventurous, you could respond with a confident, teasing smile. "Sure, I bet you only say that because you haven't met someone who makes you want to." This response doesn't just challenge her initial claim. It immediately raises the intensity of the conversation, making it more provocative and therefore much more attractive. Neil Strauss also stresses the importance of managing the energy of the interaction correctly. This means knowing when to ramp up the intensity and when to dial it back strategically. If you keep the same emotional intensity the whole time, the conversation becomes monotonous and predictable. But if you learn to vary the pace, raising and lowering the energy at the right moments, you create an irresistible interest. For example, after several minutes of a deep, emotionally charged conversation, suddenly ease up a bit. Speak a little slower, lower your tone slightly, and allow some intentional silences. This drastic shift forces her to focus more on you, trying to figure out what's going on and how to respond. At that exact moment, sexual tension will peak because she'll be emotionally engaged and eager to reconnect with the previous intensity. Finally, Neil teaches that another advanced psychological technique to create sexual tension is the strategic use of selective compliments. This means never overloading her with praise. Instead, use precise, specific, and infrequent compliments that create real emotional impact. A well-placed selective compliment can immediately ignite a strong emotional reaction in her, significantly increasing the tension between you. For example, after a deep or fun conversation, look her directly in the eyes with a slight smile and softly say something like, "You know, you have a very unique way of seeing things. I like that. I wasn't expecting it from you." This seemingly simple comment instantly sparks her curiosity and desire to discover what else you've noticed in her that others don't see. Neil insists that the absolute key is moderation. Never overuse these tools. Using them sparingly and at the right moments boosts attraction far more because she'll never be able to fully predict your next move. If you master all these techniques Neil Strauss has carefully developed, I guarantee your ability to create sexual tension will multiply exponentially. What once seemed complicated or uncertain will become easy and natural. Sexual tension will become something you handle instinctively, turning every encounter into an exciting, unique, and irresistible experience. But this isn't everything. Neil Strauss still has more advanced strategies that can take your seduction skills much further, helping you fully understand how the female mind works and how to use that knowledge to transform your relationships and emotional experiences. What you're about to discover will radically change how you see attraction and relationships. Neil dives into an advanced dimension of generating sexual tension: personal storytelling. How you tell your experiences shapes how a woman perceives your attractiveness, and more importantly, how interested her subconscious will be in you. The secret lies in carefully choosing personal stories that reflect adventure, controlled vulnerability, and deep authenticity. When you tell a story, you let her gradually discover who you are without revealing every detail all at once. Neil says the most effective stories aren't the ones where you present yourself as the perfect hero, but those where you show some controlled vulnerability, authenticity, and a touch of mystery. By doing this, you create a deep emotional connection in her mind while sparking an intense desire to learn more about you. For example, instead of spilling all the details of a trip or experience, you could say something like, "There was a moment on that trip when I felt something I never thought I would, but maybe that's better saved for later." This keeps the mystery alive and builds a powerful expectation that will keep her mind connected to you much longer. Neil emphasizes that every word you use in your storytelling matters. Your language should be descriptive, emotional, and evocative. Don't just say what happened. Describe how you felt, how you reacted, and why that experience mattered to you. By doing this, you create a profound emotional connection she'll experience with you. Shared emotions strongly activate her imagination and her desire to be closer to you. Another essential technique Neil develops in detail is controlling your vocal rhythm. The speed, tone, and pauses in your speech are powerful tools to create tension. When you slow down your pace slightly while telling something important, you automatically draw more attention to yourself. Conversely, when you speed up a bit at specific moments, you create an exciting effect that keeps her attention sharp. Plus, strategic pauses at key moments generate suspense. For example, in the middle of an intriguing or provocative sentence, pause just a second longer than usual and look her straight in the eyes. That brief silence not only boosts your attractiveness, but also creates a deep, subtle tension, making her eagerly await every word you're about to say. Neil also highlights another crucial element: the ability to gently challenge her expectations. Women often get used to men constantly seeking approval or validation. By breaking that pattern, you instantly stand out as someone different and attractive. Don't hesitate to softly challenge her opinions or ideas, always respectfully and with a fun, light touch. For instance, if she expresses an idea most people accept without question, calmly respond with a slight smile. "Interesting that you think that, though I'm not sure it's entirely true. Maybe you'll have to convince me a bit more." This gentle challenge not only makes her engage more actively in the conversation, but also significantly raises her interest in you. She'll want to know more about what you think and why you're so confident and decisive in your opinions. Neil Strauss also explains the importance of projecting confidence without arrogance. This is one of the toughest nuances to master, but once you do, sexual tension multiplies. Attractive confidence isn't about bragging or showing off. It's about being completely comfortable with yourself, embracing both your strengths and your weaknesses. Showing a relaxed attitude in any situation demonstrates a kind of confidence that women notice immediately. To achieve this, Neil recommends learning to handle awkward moments with smart humor and without anxiety. For example, if something unexpected happens while you're with her, like accidentally spilling a drink, instead of apologizing nervously, smile calmly and say something witty like, "Well, that's my special way of making sure you remember this conversation." These unexpected playful reactions turn potential discomfort into a unique opportunity to create more positive sexual tension. Another advanced skill Neil suggests developing is the ability to create a sense of exclusivity. Women deeply value feeling special, different from the rest. So, learn to share unique details or confidences you rarely reveal to others. This feeling of privilege significantly intensifies emotional connection and raises sexual attention. You might say something like, "Honestly, I don't usually tell this to just anyone, but with you, it feels different." This phrase instantly sparks curiosity and intense interest because it makes her feel special, unique, and deeply connected to you. But remember, use this technique with total sincerity. Authenticity is essential for it to have the desired effect. Neil also advises mastering the art of pattern breaking. This means knowing when to suddenly change your usual or expected behavior at certain moments to capture her full attention. An example could be interrupting a very intense moment with a funny comment or dramatically switching the topic of conversation. This unexpected shift keeps her alert, generates positive uncertainty, and maintains a high level of constant interest. Finally, Neil delves into subtly managing the idea of personal challenge. Women are deeply attracted to men who have clear, challenging goals in life. When you talk about your goals or projects, do it with genuine passion, but without trying to impress her directly. Let her naturally sense your enthusiasm and determination. This will create respect admiration, and above all, an intense desire to be part of your world. By indirectly showing her that your life is intense, full of ambitious projects and personal goals, she will instinctively feel a stronger attraction to you. You're not trying to impress her outright. You're simply sharing honestly who you are and where you're headed, letting her conclude she wants to be part of that adventure. What Neil Strauss offers you here are advanced, subtle, and effective strategies that, when applied well, can completely transform your ability to seduce and emotionally connect. But there are still deeper techniques and secrets to explore, capable of taking your skills to an even higher level. So keep paying attention, because what's coming next might not only surprise you, but also permanently change your emotional and romantic life. And if you've made it this far, you probably already feel it. Something shifted, not just in how you understand sexual attention, but in how you're seeing yourself in this silent, yet deeply powerful game. Because when you apply these ideas, you're not learning empty tricks or cheap formulas. You're developing presence, mystery, real magnetism. You're moving from being just another guy to becoming a man who masters his energy, his language, his rhythm, and his ability to generate desire with just a look or a word. Neil Strauss didn't teach manipulation. He taught awakening what's already inside you. The thing is, no one had ever shown you how to use it consciously. What you're learning now isn't just about attracting a woman, it's about making her stay, wanting more of you, thinking about you, seeking you out even without fully understanding why. And that unconscious attraction, that's the result of a trained mind, a man who knows himself and projects from a deep place with calm confidence. Now, this doesn't end here. Everything you've received so far is just the start of a much broader path. And if you feel this content helped you, if at some point something inside you clicked and you saw clearly what once seemed invisible, don't keep it to yourself. Comment below what part impacted you the most. Tell me if any technique revealed something you'd never considered before, because the more people participate, the stronger this community of awakened men becomes. Men who don't follow broken rules, but reinvent themselves, grow, and attract from a real place. Share this video with whoever you think needs to awaken that inner power. Hit like if this connected with you, and subscribe because what's coming next is even deeper, more real, and more transformative. See you in the next video, but until then, keep your energy burning, your mind sharp, and your presence strong. Because what you project, the world feels. And now you know how to do it.